7 assets destroying your wealth without you knowing. Have you ever wondered why you're working harder than ever, but your bank account doesn't seem to grow? Here's what's crazy. Most Americans think they're building wealth when they're actually destroying it, one smart purchase at a time. Society tells you that owning more stuff equals success. But here's the shocking truth. The wealthy avoid these 7 things like the plague, while everyone else rushes to buy them. I learned this the hard way when I was drowning in debt at 35, thinking my expensive car and big house made me successful. It wasn't until I met a millionaire who drove a 15-year-old Honda that everything clicked. Here's what most people don't realize. 87% of Americans are unknowingly bleeding money through assets they believe are helping them get ahead. In this video, I'm going to reveal the 7 things that look like smart investments but are secretly destroying your financial future. The 7th one will shock you. It's something 92% of Americans pour money into every month, thinking it's building security, but it's actually the fastest way to stay broke forever. If you've ever felt like you're spinning your wheels financially, hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and comment "Wealth Truth" below. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll see money completely differently. Let's start with the first wealth destroyer that's hiding in plain sight. Asset number 1, your primary residence. Everyone tells you buying a house is the American dream, the ultimate sign of success. Real estate agents, your parents, society, they all push this idea that your home is your biggest asset. But here's what they're not telling you. Your house isn't making you rich, it's keeping you poor. The painful truth is that your primary residence is what financial experts call a doodad, something that takes money out of your pocket every month instead of putting money in. Think about it. Mortgage payments, property taxes, insurance, maintenance, repairs, HOA fees. The average American homeowner spends 30 to 40% of their income just keeping their house. Here's an ancient Babylonian story that illustrates this perfectly. A wealthy merchant once told his apprentice, "A man's home should shelter his family and provide comfort, but it should never consume his gold. The wise man buys shelter within his means and invests the rest." The apprentice asked, "But master, don't people need impressive homes to show their success?" The merchant smiled and said, "The truly wealthy live modestly and let their investments speak for them. Instead of buying the biggest house you can afford, buy the smallest house that meets your needs. Take that extra $800 to $1,200 monthly payment difference and invest it. In 20 years, that $1,000 monthly investment at 7% return becomes $525,000. Meanwhile, your neighbors are still making payments on their dream homes." The mindset shift here is crucial. Your home should provide shelter and comfort, not social status. True wealth builders understand that every dollar spent impressing others is a dollar that can't work for you. When you stop trying to look rich and start focusing on becoming rich, everything changes. Now you might be thinking this makes sense, but what about the second wealth destroyer? This one's even more dangerous because it promises freedom but delivers the exact opposite. Asset number 2, brand new vehicles. Here's where most Americans get completely fooled. We've been programmed to believe that a nice car equals success, that leasing gives us freedom, and that we deserve to drive something beautiful. But every month, millions of people sign papers that guarantee they'll stay broke. The average American car payment is now $700 monthly, but here's the brutal math they don't want you to see. If you invested that $700 instead of making car payments for 30 years, you'd have over $875,000. That's nearly $1 million sacrificed for the privilege of driving something shiny. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, never owned a chariot. He borrowed one when needed for official duties. When asked why the most powerful man in Rome didn't own the finest transportation, he said he preferred to invest his wealth in things that appreciated rather than depreciated. His philosophy was simple: waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Buy reliable used cars with cash. A 3 to 4-year-old Honda Civic or Toyota Camry will transport you just as effectively as a brand new luxury vehicle, but it costs 60% less. Take that $700 monthly car payment and invest it instead. In 10 years at 8% return, you'll have $127,000. The person with the fancy car will have another car payment. A successful businessman once told his son, "The car in your driveway doesn't determine your worth. The money in your investment account does. Drive what gets you there safely and affordably, then invest the difference in your future." The wealthy understand that transportation is a tool, not a status symbol. When you stop trying to impress people with your car and start building real wealth, you join the ranks of those who are truly financially free. Before we dive into the third wealth destroyer, I'm curious, what's your biggest monthly expense right now? Drop a comment and let me know if any of these first two hit home for you. Your honesty might help someone else realize they're not alone in this struggle. Asset number 3, timeshares and vacation properties. This one breaks my heart because people get emotionally manipulated into these deals, thinking they're securing family memories and smart investments. The timeshare industry makes $10 billion annually by convincing middle-class Americans that they're buying a piece of paradise, when they're actually signing up for decades of financial pain. Here's the reality check. Timeshares have no resale value. Zero. You can find them on eBay for $1 because people are desperate to escape the annual maintenance fees that increase every year. The average timeshare costs $22,000 upfront plus $1,000 annually in fees. Over 20 years, that's $42,000 for 2 weeks of vacation annually in the same location. There's a biblical parable about a man who bought land he couldn't see, trusting only the seller's promises. When he finally visited his investment, he found barren ground that cost more to maintain than it was worth. The lesson was clear. Never purchase what you haven't thoroughly examined, and never buy based on emotion alone. Instead of buying a timeshare, take that $22,000 and invest it in an index fund. In 20 years at 7% return, it becomes $85,000. Use 4% of that annually, $3,400 for vacations anywhere in the world. That buys you much nicer accommodations than any timeshare, plus you keep the principal forever. An elderly couple once shared their biggest financial regret. "We bought a timeshare thinking we were investing in family time. Instead, we felt chained to the same resort every year while our friends traveled the world. We learned that true freedom comes from having options, not obligations." The wealthy never tie up their money in depreciating assets that limit their choices. They keep their capital liquid and their options open, understanding that real wealth provides flexibility, not restrictions. The timeshare industry preys on emotional decision-making, creating artificial urgency and limited-time offers to bypass logical thinking. Asset number 4, boats, RVs, and recreational vehicles. Here's what they don't tell you at the boat show. The 2 happiest days of a boat owner's life are the day they buy it and the day they sell it. Recreational vehicles are money pits disguised as lifestyle investments, and they're designed to drain your wealth systematically. The average boat costs $40,000 plus $4,000 annually in maintenance, storage, insurance, and fuel. RVs average $60,000 with similar ongoing costs. But here's the killer. These toys sit unused 90% of the time while constantly depreciating. A $40,000 boat is worth $20,000 after 5 years, whether you use it or not. Benjamin Franklin once observed a neighbor who spent his inheritance on a fancy carriage he used twice a month. Franklin noted, "He paid premium prices for occasional pleasure, while I invested that same money in ventures that worked for me daily. His carriage gathered dust while my investments gathered interest." Franklin understood that assets should work harder than their owners. Rent instead of buying. You can rent a nice boat for $400 to $600 per day. If you boat 10 days annually, that's $6,000 versus $44,000 in ownership costs over 5 years. The savings of $38,000 invested at 8% return become $56,000 in 5 years. You get the same enjoyment without the financial burden. A millionaire neighbor once explained his philosophy. "I rent my fun and own my investments. When I want to boat, I rent the newest model with no maintenance headaches. When I want returns, I buy assets that appreciate." The wealthy don't confuse entertainment with investment. They keep them completely separate. This mindset separation is crucial because recreational vehicles promise happiness but deliver financial stress. True contentment comes from financial security, not expensive toys gathering dust in your garage. The boating industry markets dreams and lifestyle aspirations, but smart money recognizes the difference between temporary pleasure and lasting wealth. Asset number 5, whole life insurance as an investment. Insurance salespeople are masters of confusion, and whole life insurance is their biggest trick. They sell it as both protection and investment, convincing people they're being smart and responsible. But combining insurance with investing is like combining a restaurant with a gas station. Neither function works optimally. Whole life insurance typically returns 2 to 4% annually, while charging massive fees that aren't clearly disclosed. Meanwhile, the same money in index funds historically returns 10% annually. A 35-year-old paying $500 monthly for whole life will have about $180,000 after 30 years. That same $500 in index funds becomes $1.1 million. That's a $920,000 difference for the same monthly payment. There's an ancient Jewish teaching about a merchant who tried to carry both grain and gold in the same wagon. The grain spoiled from the weight of the gold, and the gold was contaminated by the grain. The lesson: some things serve their purpose best when kept separate. Insurance protects, investments grow. Mixing them helps neither function properly. Buy term life insurance for 10 to 20 times your annual income and invest the difference. Term insurance costs $50 to $100 monthly for substantial coverage, leaving $400 to $450 to invest. In 30 years, this approach gives you better coverage, plus $440,000 more wealth than whole life. The insurance industry deliberately complicates these products to hide their poor performance. They use complex terminology and projections to confuse buyers into thinking they're getting value when they're actually paying massive commissions to salespeople who prioritize their earnings over your financial future. Are you starting to see the pattern here? Every time someone tries to sell you convenience or promises that one product does everything, run the other way. Comment below with the number 4. If you're realizing you might be carrying some of these wealth destroyers right now. Asset number 6, extended warranties and insurance on depreciating items. This might seem small, but death by 1,000 cuts is still death. Extended warranties on electronics, gap insurance on cars, insurance on cell phones. These protection products are massive profit centers for retailers because they're almost pure profit selling fear. Best Buy makes more profit on extended warranties than on the actual electronics. Phone insurance costs $15 monthly, $180 annually, with a $200 deductible, meaning you pay $380 to replace a $600 phone. Car gap insurance costs $500 to $700 for something that should never be needed if you buy cars properly. King Solomon wrote about those who buy peace of mind with gold they cannot spare. He observed that true security comes from wisdom and preparation, not from purchasing protection against every possible misfortune. Solomon understood that excessive insurance is often fear masquerading as prudence. Self-insure instead. Take all those warranty costs, maybe $50 to $100 monthly across various items, and put them in a high-yield savings account. When something breaks, fix or replace it from your fund. Most electronics never need major repairs within warranty periods anyway, so you're likely to come out ahead while learning to handle normal life expenses confidently. A wealthy business owner once shared his philosophy: I insure against catastrophes that could destroy me, but I never insure against inconveniences I can afford to handle myself. The first protects my wealth, the second just transfers it to insurance companies. When you stop buying peace of mind and start building real financial strength, you discover that self-reliance is both cheaper and more empowering than paying others to worry for you. Most extended warranties are statistical bets heavily favored toward the seller, designed to profit from your fear of things that rarely happen. Asset number 7, credit cards and revolving debt. Here's the big one, the wealth destroyer that 92% of Americans feed monthly while thinking they're building credit and earning rewards. Credit cards are the most sophisticated wealth extraction machines ever created, designed to make you feel smart while systematically transferring your future wealth to banks. The average American carries $6,200 in credit card debt at 18 to 24% interest, making minimum payments. This debt takes 27 years to pay off and costs $18,600 in interest. But here's the real devastation. If you invested that minimum payment instead of paying interest, you'd have $127,000 after 27 years. Credit cards don't just cost you interest, they cost you compound growth. Jesus told a parable about a servant who owed an impossible debt to his master. The servant begged for mercy, promising to pay everything back, but the master knew the debt would consume the servant's entire future. The master's forgiveness wasn't just mercy. It was recognition that debt slavery helps no one. Modern credit cards create the same impossible situation. Interest compounds faster than most people can pay. Pay cash for everything or don't buy it. Cut up the cards. Pay off balances aggressively and use debit cards for convenience. Take every payment you are making to credit cards and immediately invest it. The average household paying $300 monthly in credit card payments could invest that and have $360,000 in 30 years. There's a story about two friends who graduated from college together. One used credit cards for lifestyle and convenience, always carrying balances but earning points. The other used only cash and invested the equivalent of credit payments. 20 years later, the first friend was still making payments on purchases from a decade ago, while the second friend was financially independent. The first friend learned that points and rewards are just breadcrumbs leading to a trap, while the second discovered that saying no to debt is saying yes to freedom. Now you know the 7 wealth destroyers that keep Americans trapped in financial mediocrity while thinking they're making smart moves. These aren't just expenses. They're systematic wealth transfers from your future self to industries built on your financial illiteracy. Which of these 7 hit closest to home for you? Comment Wealth Truth below and share which one you're going to tackle first. Your story might inspire someone else to take action too. And if this video opened your eyes to how money really works, smash that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Subscribe and hit the notification bell because I'm going to keep revealing the financial truths they don't want you to know. Next week, I'm exposing the investment mistakes that cost Americans $2.4 trillion annually. Mistakes your financial advisor probably recommended. Remember, the difference between the wealthy and everyone else isn't income, it's decision-making. Every choice you make either builds your wealth or destroys it. There's no neutral ground in money. Choose wisely, because your future self is counting on the decisions you make today. The path to wealth isn't about earning more, it's about keeping more of what you earn and making it work for you instead of against you.